and welcome to Nelson All Over Cars. My name is Nelson, and today we are doing kind of a how to play slash first game of Arkham Horror, the living card game. Now, this is a fantastic game, and the point of this video is not necessarily to go through all of the rules, but to play the gathering, the first scenario, walk through our choices and rules and all of that very methodically as we do a gameplay video. Now, I've done this for Marvel Champions and Lord of the Rings, so if you're curious about those games, you can check out the link down below. We're going to walk through. There's going to be timestamps for different turns. There's going to be timestamps for after the setup. So if you have a specific question, hopefully that can help guide you to where you need to be in the video. But I'm really excited. I like this game so very much. It's so narratively driven, and let's just dive into it because I want to get right into it. So we're going to go walk through the rulebook for our first game setup. So we're going to choose an investigator. Now, I'm going to simulate a two-handed game or a two-player game, so I'm going to play two investigators. I highly recommend, if you are playing the solo, to play two investigators, as one investigator can be fairly challenging. So I'm going to be playing Roland Banks and Daisy Walker. These are the recommended starter decks in the core set, so there's been no modification to the decks whatsoever. Gather decks. Did that. Choose lead investigator. We're going to have Daisy be our lead investigator. Nice. Go team. Assemble token pool. Now I have our tokens over here. I am using custom tokens from a company called Buy the Same Token. And so hopefully that does not cause too much confusion. But here, everything you see on the table is Buy the Same Token. Yep. So we got our tokens. We assembled the Chaos Bag. I lost my Chaos Bag, so now I have this really fun Pokemon Chaos Bag. And that's been set up as a standard game. So based on how challenging you want it to be, we'll modify how that Chaos Bag looks and the components of that. And that's going to be right here on your front page of your campaign guide. We're doing standard, so we have all of these tokens in there. If you want to make it harder or easier, there's instructions on how to do so there. Take starting resources. I've already kind of done that. So right now we both start with 5 resources. Normally, unless something tells you otherwise, you will start with 5 resources at the beginning of every single game. Draw our opening hands. So we each draw 5 cards, and then if a weakness is drawn, we set it aside and fill back up to 5. Then we get to choose if we want to mulligan. Mulliganing by setting any cards that you do not want aside, drawing back up to 5, and then shuffling everything you set aside back into your deck. So just give these a quick shuffle. I have not played Daisy or Roland in a while, and so I'm also just kind of selfishly, or I guess personally, a bit excited to play this game because I also have not played The Gathering in a while. So since Daisy is our lead investigator, we'll just start with her as our first opening hand and mulligan. So shuffle this up, shuffle it up, get it all nice and mixed up. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. We have no weaknesses, so we don't have to set any aside and draw back up. Now we have 2 manual dexterity. These are skill cards. We're only going to be able to commit these 2 tests that are being performed. We have mind over matter. We can use our book in place of our feet and fist. And I will say that I know that there are game terms, and I should have tried to memorize them beforehand, but I call all of these skills just by their iconographies. So brain, which I think is in intellect, I call brain, book, fist, and feet. So it helps me so much to refer to them like that. So hopefully that's not too confusing. We've got arcane studies. This is an asset. This is a build card. It goes onto the table, so we can spend resources to get plus to the skill test. Honestly, I think I'm going to mulligan pretty hard here. Let's keep 1 manual dexterity. We're going to mulligan 3 cards. So during this mulligan, we got a flashlight. That's excellent. Forbidden knowledge and a perception. We're going to take the cards that we did not keep in our opening hand and shuffle them back into our deck. We're going to do the same thing for Roland now. Roland is going to get 5 cards. Kind of looking for some weapons with Roland. Roland's going to be our fighter. And one of the things I probably should have said beforehand is the reason that I chose these 2 characters, I chose the Guardian character and the Seeker character, is because in Arkham Horror, a lot of the times you're going to have a way to deal with enemies, like the Guardian class, and a way to get clues, the Secret class. Now, the other classes have ways to do this inside their own world and with their own cards. These are just, I think, the most straightforward to that objective, and so I felt like that would be a good way, or a couple good characters to highlight what we need to do. So let's go 5 here for Roland. Kind of hope I get a weakness. So nope. Okay. We got a knife. We got a barricade, a magnifying glass, an old book of lore, and a hyper awareness. This is honestly a pretty decent hand. So we got magnifying glass, knife, barricade. Let's mulligan barricade. We're going to mulligan hyper awareness too. Hyper awareness, we can spend resources to get benefits to our feat and book. Feat is used to evade enemies, where Roland probably wants to be taken on and fighting those enemies. And book is used to find clues. We have Daisy, who's going to be so very adept at finding clues, so maybe we don't need this as much in our opening hand. I do like the old book of lore. I like the knife. I like the magnifying glass. So let's draw into a beat cop. That's fun. And a vicious blow. We're going to take these 2 cards that we did not take into our opening hand and shuffle them right back into our deck. And we've completed that step of setup. Alrighty, where were we? So that was step 7. Now we're going to go to scenario setup. So we're going to gather the scenario cards, and the scenario setup is going to be outlined in your campaign guide. So we're doing the gathering. So it's going to say gather all the cards from the following counter sets, and it's going to have these symbols. Let me hold this up so y'all can see it. Have these symbols here. So I went and I gathered every single card from those encounter sets. We're going to put the study location into play. That's going to start there. And then it's going to tell us that we set each other location. These are these double-sided location cards outside out of play. And every investigator begins play at the study. So our little mini cards are going to be here to signify that we are at the study currently. Set the Ghoul Priest and Lita aside out of play. We're going to put those over there. And shuffle the remainder of the encounter cards to form the encounter deck. We have our agenda and act up here. This is going to kind of guide the scenario. The agenda is, I like to kind of think of it as what the scenario is trying to do to make you fail. It's kind of a timer almost. And then the act is kind of how you are going to be progressing through the stories. Usually that means that you're going to be trying to find a lot of clues. You're going to be trying to spin those clues to push through into the next act to uncover whatever it is you all are investigating. So we got all of that shuffled up. Boom. Got that right there. Let's see. Set agenda deck, set at deck, place reference cards. Our reference card right here is going to tell us what some of these special symbols in our chaos bag do. Place locations, assemble the encounter deck, read scenario instructions, place investigators, and I think that means we are ready to go, which is pretty exciting. So I'm going to keep this open, but here we are. So when you are playing Arkham Horror, the lead investigator will be the one who's making a lot of decisions, but not necessarily the character who goes first. Whenever you are playing, no matter how many characters you're playing with, you actually get to choose the order in which the characters activate. However, you do have to finish their entire turn before you can move on to another turn. So just because Daisy is our lead investigator does not mean Daisy has to go first. She can, but Roland can also go first, but Roland will have to use all 3 of his actions before Daisy can act on her turn. So that's kind of how it goes. I'm going to skip the story of this because I think that this is going to be something that we read a lot when we're learning this game, and I'm going to be focusing on the mechanics. So just know that there's a lot of flavor text, that the game really thrives in the story of this game. So I think I'm skipping maybe one of the best parts, but I do want to keep this as concise as possible to make sure that we get the mechanics of the game correct. Whenever you enter a location, you flip it over to its revealed side. The unrevealed side has flavor text on it. The revealed side is going to have a shroud value. That's going to be over here in the left side of the card in that dark symbol. This one is 2. that is going to be a target value. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then our study comes in with the number on the right side of the card. It says 2 clues per investigator. That's what that little symbol means. So we're going to take 2 clues per investigator. So this token has a little 3 on it. They're double-sided. And we got our 4 clues right there. What's going on? Every single round, maybe more frequently than that, we're going to be adding Doom to the agenda. Once we have 3 Doom on the agenda, we're going to progress to the next agenda card. And then Trapped says that we need to spend 2 clues per investigator. Let me hold that up just so y'all can see that. 2 clues per investigator. Come on, focus. I believe in you. There we go. So 2 clues per investigator. And once we have those clues, we can spin them, not in action in this case, to move on to the next act. We skip the Mythos phase, so we don't have to worry about the Mythos phase in the first round, and we jump right into the Investigator phase. Each investigator gets 3 actions. There's going to be an outline of, you know what, heck, I'm going to put it up on the screen. These are the actions. There's also going to be a player card, which I may actually have one right here. Oh my goodness, I do. Look at this. So here are the basic actions that you can take, and you're probably going to see a better version of this on the screen right now, but I would keep these handy because they are really important. Okay. This first round, I usually like to look at what can I do to build my board state out, because you never know what's going to happen. I'm going to let's let rolling go first, just to say, yeah, let's just let rolling go first. So we have an old book of lore. We can exhaust old book of lore to choose an investigator at your location. They search the top 3 cards of their deck for a card and draw it, shuffle the remaining cards back into their deck. I'm thinking that while the magnifying glass is good, we have the beat cop, which is going to increase our fist, which is going to be used to fight some stuff. I think we're going to go ahead and spend 4 resources to play a beat cop. So that's going to give us +1 fist. We have a quick action, and that's what that little lightning symbol there means on the beat cop. We have a quick action, meaning that it does not take one of our 3 actions to discard beat cop, deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location. He also has 2 health and 2 sanity, which we can use. Sometimes I'll refer to that as a soak. So that's damage or sanity that is not going to my investigator. Then we are going to, let's go ahead and spend 1 resource to play the knife. Now you can see here in the bottom right hand corner of these cards, it will tell you what spot or what equip value that they have, or the requirement that they have. You can have 1 ally on the table. You can have 2 hand assets on the table. So the knife is taking up one of those hands asset. You can always overplay if you would like. So that's 2 actions right there. I'm thinking that we have a couple of options. We have a 3 book, so we could investigate here. We could draw a card. We could get a resource. We can move. Well, we can't move because there's no other area to go. In the story, it kind of talks to you how you're kind of trapped and you're trying to figure out why you cannot get out of this area. So let's go ahead and let's get a resource. The reason I'm doing this is that you get 1 resource every round during the upkeep phase. And I would like to play this old book of lore at some point, so that kind of gets me closer to playing the old book of lore. That's my 3 actions, so it's now Daisy's turn. Daisy, we're probably also going to be looking at wanting to build out a little bit. We're going to spend 2 to play the flashlight. Now the flashlight comes in with 3 supplies, and we can spend 1 supply to investigate, and we get -2 shroud for that investigation. So the study who has a 2 shroud, we can use a charge on the flashlight, investigate at a 0. And the beauty of this game is that if you are ever testing at a 0, you can't go negative. The only way that you can fail is you pull that auto fail token, which now that I say it will happen. That will be something that happens. Alrighty, let's go ahead and investigate. We have a 5 book. I want to do a test. So we have a 5 book. We're gonna be testing to the shroud value of the location for 2. We're gonna shake up our chaos bag. So right now we are +3. We're gonna pull out a chaos token. Oh my gosh, look at that. Now we know it's gonna be a good video. It's a elder sign. So the elder sign, it does not mean auto success. That is something that I struggled with. There's actually a little ability on each one of these characters that has an elder sign effect. Daisy says +1 or +0. If you succeed, draw 1 card for each tome you control. +0. We don't have any tomes. We just get the clue. Because we succeeded, we get 1 clue, and we put it right there. That's my second action. I did not use my flashlight for that, mainly because Daisy at like a 5 to a 2 with the standard, I'm usually trying to be at least 2 above, and that's probably pretty okay to get a success from that chaos bag. If I'm +2 on the skill test, I'm feeling pretty good. All right, I have 1 action left. We have Forbidden Knowledge. If Forbidden Knowledge has no secrets discarded, as a quick action, we can exhaust Forbidden Knowledge and take a horror, move 1 secret from Forbidden Knowledge to your resource pool as a resource. That's pretty cool. Let's just go ahead and let's investigate again. There's no limit to how many times we can investigate. Let's just go 5 to 2. What do we got? What do we got? We got a 0, so we are good. We get 1 of these clues. Now remember, we need 4 clues, 2 investigators per 2 clues per investigator in order to progress. And we now have, that's a 3. We now have 2. Alrighty. So that is the end of the investigator phase. So if on the other side of this, we have our round sequence. And so let's just take a look at that. I may throw it up on the screen for a little bit easier of a read. But enemy phase, enemies with the 100 keyword will move. We don't have any of those. Each engaged enemy attacks. We don't have any of those, which is pretty good. Upkeep phase, we reset all actions. Usually, and I usually don't do this, but I think in a higher player game, it makes a lot of sense. So whenever you finish your turn, you flip your action card over to the grayscale side to show that you've already acted that round. I usually don't do that. I usually can remember who has and who has not taken a turn, but we'll see if I can remember this game. Probably not, but we'll see. Ready all exhausted cards. So there's going to be cards that tell you to exhaust to do an effect. We don't have any exhausted cards. Usually you turn the card sideways. This is called like this is exhausting, or the taboo word that we're not supposed to say is tapping the card. Or I have little tokens that I use to exhaust because it takes up a lot of space. Each investigator draws 1 card and gains 1 resource. So we'll let Daisy draw a card, the magnifying glass, and then Roland over here is going to get his own flashlight. And then we each get a resource. Daisy's up to 4 resources, Roland's up to 2 resources. And then finally, each investigator checks their hand size. So your maximum hand size in this game is 8. If you have more than 8 cards, you have to discard down. It is important to note that this is the only time you check the hand size. So if during your action phase, you're drawing cards, you have 50 cards in your hand, which is impossible. Well, actually okay. If you have 10 cards in your hand, it does not matter until the end of the round. Whenever you check that hand size, that is when you would have to discard down. Not before, not during your player phase. You can have as many cards as you want until that step of the round. Okay, that's the first round. Moving on to round 2, we're going to start out with the Mythos phase. The Mythos phase here, we have place 1 Doom on the agenda. So we're going to place a Doom right there. 1 Doom on the agenda. Advance the agenda if the Doom threshold is satisfied. Our Doom threshold is 3. And that is really important to note. This is another key thing that I did not realize at the start of my plays of Arkham, is that this is the only time, unless otherwise specified, that you would advance the agenda. So if we place a Doom after this step, we do not advance the agenda until we get back to this step. Now, there are going to be cards that say This can cause the agenda to advance and all of that, and that is an exception to the rule. Typically in these games, rules on cards supersede anything printed in the book. So this is the only time, unless otherwise explicitly told so, that you would advance the agenda. Then each investigator draws one card from the top of the encounter deck, and you do go in order of lead investigator. So Daisy over here is going to take our first card, Ancient Evils. This is amazing. This is a perfect example, because Ancient Evils is one of those cards that breaks the rule that I just said. Ancient Evil says place one doom on the current agenda. This can cause the current agenda to advance. So we're going to place a doom. So we're at 2. It could cause, but we are still not at the threshold, so we are okay there. That, I hate that card, by the way. Roland has got Crypt Chill, Revelation Test, Brain 4. If you fail, choose and discard 1 asset you control. If you cannot, take 2 damage. Now we have a Brain 3. I'm looking here to see if there's anything that I can commit. In the top left, under the cost of these cards, there are icons which you can use to commit to a test. If you have an ally or another investigator, I should not say ally, if you have another investigator at your location, they are allowed to commit up to 1 card. So looking over here, we have Arcane Studies, which we could commit. I'm thinking that if we lose this knife, it's sad. It's not the end of the world. So let's just kind of go for it. We're going to be testing 3 to 4, knowing that we're probably going to fail. There are a couple of tokens in here that could change that outcome, but we got a tablet. Okay, so this is one of those special tokens. So each one of the scenarios is going to have a reference card here that is going to tell you what these special tokens do. Our tablet here is -2. If there's a ghoul enemy at your location, we have to take 1 damage. Luckily, there's not a ghoul enemy. So we get -2, meaning that we do not succeed here. We have to discard an asset, which is going to be our knife. Then we move back into investigators. Now let's have Daisy go first. Daisy, I think I want to have go first because if we can clear these out, and she's going to be better at clearing these clues out than Roland will be, then maybe we can spin them, progress, and maybe Roland has something else that he can do. So let's go ahead and let's spend 1 to play a magnifying glass. Now this has the fast keyword on it. Fast means that it does not take 1 of your actions to play. So putting this down means that we still have 3 actions. The magnifying glass says that we get +1 book while investigating. So right now we're at a 6 to a 2. Let's go ahead and investigate. So 6 to 2, we're going to pull a -4. That magnifying glass saved us there. You have to meet or exceed the target value. So we do get 1 of these clue tokens. I'm just going to flip this over to a 3. Show that we have 3. That's my first action. My second action, we're just going to go for it again. We've got a 6 to a 2. Come on, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies. It's a 0. We succeed. We get that last clue token. We do have 1 action left. We're going to go ahead and spin these clues, which is not an action, to progress on our act. So flavor text, again, just for brevity's sake, as well as so you can kind of experience the story on your own. We're going to skip the flavor text, but we put into play the set aside hallway, cellar, attic, and parlor. So we have hallway, attic, cellar, and parlor. These are going to be face down. We're going to discard each enemy in the study, place each investigator in the hallway, and remove the study from the game. So the study is going to be removed from the game. We have the hallway. Now, the icons on the top left and the bottom of the card determine where and what this is connected to. So the hallway is connected to the triangle, the plus, and then the diamond location. So the diamond location can go here. The parlor is only connected to the hallway. The attic, we'll put this on the top because that makes the most sense, that the attic is on the top. And then the cellar is over here. So you can see that each one of these cards is only connected to the hallway, which is the red square, and not to themselves, but the hallway is connected to all 3. Each one of us starts in the hallway, which means that we're going to flip this up. It has a shroud value of 1, but no clues on it. The reason that it has a shroud value but no clues is that there are going to be cards that, require or have you place clues on a specific location, or maybe you have a card, like there are cards in the game where it says investigate your location, and instead of discovering clues, do this effect instead. That's why it has a shroud, even though without any clues. We're going to look at this. We have a new objective. It takes 3 clues per investigator, so 6 clues total, in order to progress. Our objective here is when the round ends, investigators in the hallway, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues to advance. So this has a little bit more of a requirement set upon us, is that we have to be in the hallway and we cannot just spin. We have to say it has to be at the end of the round for us to advance. So sometimes that will, our act will determine when and how we can spend our money. Okay. Daisy still has 1 action left. You know what? I don't like, and this is a little bit of the strategic advice, I don't like drawing cards or moving into an unrevealed location as my last action of my turn. The reason being is sometimes when you flip over a new location, bad things can happen. If you have no more actions because you just spent your last action to move there, you're kind of left taking on that penalty or hindrance without any way to react to it. Also, there are weaknesses in your deck, and the weaknesses in your deck you could draw and again not have time to react to those, and that could be very, very detrimental. And so if I don't know what I'm doing, then sometimes I'll take a resource or I look to see if there's a card I can play from my hand. We have the Arcane Studies or the Forbidden Knowledge. I think we're just going to play the Forbidden Knowledge. This comes in with 4 secrets. I'm going to use resources as our tokens here. If it has no secrets, we can discard it, and we can exhaust Forbidden Knowledge, take a horror, move a secret to our resource pool. I don't think I need to do that yet, just because we have enough money to pay for everything in our hand, but it is a nice option to have. That was my 3rd action. Let's move over to Roland. And also, as we're going through this, if you have questions, please throw them in the comments. I would love to help figure out any question that you may have. Okay, Roland now. Let's go ahead and have Roland, because we have 3 actions. I think Cellar probably makes more sense to be in the below the hallway, but here we are. Let's hop over to the parlor. Actually, let's look at the parlor. The parlor says the entrance to the parlor is blocked by a darkly glowing, unfathomable barrier. You cannot move into the parlor. So let's go over here to the cellar. So we're gonna move to the cellar. We're gonna reveal the cellar. After you enter the cellar, take 1 damage. So we can put that damage on Roland, or we can put the damage on Beat Cop, and we will put that damage on Beat Cop. This has a victory 1, meaning that if we clear all the clues from the cellar, then we get a victory point, which we can use as currency to upgrade our deck going forward in the campaign. This comes in with 2 clues per investigator, so 4 total clues. And that was our first action. Let's go ahead and spend a resource to play a magnifying glass over here. Now, this is a fast action. It does not take one of our actions, but it does give us +1 book while investigating. That puts us at a 4 to a 4. You know what? Actually, instead of that, we're going to play a flashlight. So flashlight comes in with 3 uses, and that does take one of our actions. Let's go ahead and use a flashlight. So investigate. Your location gets -2 shroud for this investigation. So now we're at a 3 to a 2. I like to be +2, but I'm also a little worried about time. And sometimes you got to risk it, and that's the fun of the game. -1, we do succeed. So we are at 3 to 3, meaning that we meet. So we get one of these clues. That's my 3 actions. Now we're going to check enemies. So hunters are going to hunt. Engaged enemies are going to attack. None of that happens, so we're going to go directly into the upkeep phase. So we're going to reset all of our actions. We're going to ready all exhausted cards. I totally forgot to flip the cards. I told you I would. We draw a card, which we got Dr. Christopher over here, and we get a resource. Then Roland is going to draw a card, which is Dodge. Fast play. When an enemy attacks an investigator location, we can cancel the attack, and we get a money here. Each investigator discards down to 8 cards. We got 2, 4, and we've got 4 over here as well. So we're good. Top of the round, we're going to place a Doom. Now we check and see if we've met our threshold. We do. So we're going to remove Doom and progress to the next one. So again, ignoring the flavor text, which is probably the best part about the game, but I'll let you all experience that on your own. The lead investigator must discard, this is Daisy, to either each investigator discards 1 card at random from their hand, or the lead investigator takes 2 horror. Because Daisy has such a high horror threshold at 9, we're just going to have Daisy take 2 horror because I don't like discarding random cards. Makes me sad. Alrighty. Now we have the Rise of the Ghouls flavor text, but we progress at 7 now. So 7, we can kind of think this as maximum probably 7 rounds. There's always a way to mess with that number via your cards. Maybe not in these decks though. Daisy's going to get a card. Oh, we got an Icy Ghoul. We're going to spawn the Icy Ghoul in the cellar. So it has a spawn effect. So it's going to be in the cellar, which will mean it'll immediately engage Roland. Now let's look at the Icy Ghoul in the stat line. So up at the top under the name, we have that 344 stat line. The 3 is the target value that we need to damage the Icy Ghoul. We're going to be doing this with our fist stat. If we do succeed, if we meet or exceed that value, we deal A damage to it. It has 4 health, that's that middle number. Or if we want to run away from it to disengage and exhaust this enemy, we have a feat requirement of 4. So that's going to be in our threat area for Roland because it's spawned in the cellar. Roland's card, we got a Ravenous Ghoul. Prey, lowest remaining health. Oof. Also, that's a wild looking piece of art right there. So Roland is now transitioned over into the cellar and is not doing super great here. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, that's kind of exciting. Icy Ghoul also has a victory point, meaning that if we defeat the Icy Ghoul, then we get 1 victory point to upgrade our decks later. Okay, it is our turn. And Roland is kind of hanging out and is a little scary. Roland's a little scary right now. Let's have Daisy go first. I don't think Daisy is going to go help Roland because Daisy is not a fighter. Let's spend 4 resources to play Dr. Christopher. Dr. Christopher is one of the better allies in the game, I think. So you get +1 book stat, and then after you successfully investigate, you gain a resource. So yeah, it's good. Daisy is going to use her second action and move up to the hallway. First, after you enter the attic. After you enter the attic, you take 1 horror. This has 4 clues on it, 1 shroud. Probably could have flipped the 2 of these, because I think Daisy's going to be able to grab these clues really easily, whereas Roland, with that 4 shroud, is going to be a little bit harder. Alrighty. We've got 1 more turn, or 1 more action, and let's go ahead and investigate the attic. So the attic has a shroud of 1. We have a base 5, 6, 7. So we're going 7 to 1. I like those odds. There is still 1 token in here. We still haven't drawn an auto fail, so maybe we'll see that. Nope, -1. We are successful. We get a clue, and because we successfully investigated, we get a resource. That's my 3 actions, and Daisy's hanging out in the attic. Roland. Roland has got some issues. Yikes. So I think we're going to try and kill the Ravenous Ghoul. Also, if you take an action that is not fight, evade, or parlay, or resign any engaged enemy, trying to figure out if that, yeah, fight, evade, parlay, or resign. That's at the bottom of your action card if you need to remember that. If you do not take one of those 4 actions, every engaged enemy will immediately make an attack against you, and that is not what we like there. Okay, Let's fight something. I'm thinking that it's gonna be a little bit easier to fight the ravenous ghoul, but the icy ghoul is pretty mean. I think we're gonna try and fight that icy ghoul. Now, this light has been acting weird. So if all the colors just changed, I apologize. Okay, so we have a base 4, we have a beat cop, and which is +1, so that's 5. We do also have the after you defeat an enemy, we discover 1 clue at your location limit once per round. And Daisy deals with tomes. So if we defeat one of these enemies, we can get a clue. I'm thinking we're gonna be taking some damage, I think. But let's work on this icy ghoul. Oh my goodness, this is dangerous. This is very, very dangerous. Let's fight the icy ghoul. Okay, so our target value is 3. We have 5. I'm gonna commit vicious blow. That says if the skill test is successful during an attack, it deals 1 extra damage. Normal base damage is 1. I kind of wish I had my knife, but we're at 6 to 3. We've got a -1, so we are successful, meaning that we deal an extra damage with this attack. So that's 2 damage here. That's my first action. My second action, I think we're going to fight him again. Neither of these, there are some enemies that have retaliate, and I think it's not in this core set, but later you'll get alert enemies, where if you fail at a test, they will attack you. That is not the normal. That's not normal. So if we fail, we lose an action, but they don't like swing at us. So Icy Ghoul, we're going 5 to 3. We got a 0. We do 1 more damage to it. We have, for some reason, I thought those were 3s. Okay, so it has 3 damage on it. There's a couple of things that we can do. I think we're just going to fight it. I think we're just going to go, we're going to fight it. But we do have the option of discarding Beat Cop to deal 1 damage to an enemy at our location, which would take out the Icy Ghoul. So if we fail this, it may be worth taking or thinking about using the Beat Cop to take out the Icy Ghoul. But let's go. We've got another 5 to 3. We got a -4, which means that we fail. We're going to go ahead and trigger the Beat Cop. We're going to discard the Beat Cop to deal a damage here, which this goes in the victory display. If they have victory, they don't go in the discard. They go in the victory display, which will be off camera. And we're going to use our reaction. A reaction also does not provoke attacks of opportunity to discover a clue at our location. Nope, that's a 3. Okay. That is our turn. So it's the enemy phase. Hunters are going to hunt first. We do not have hunters on the table, so we are going to, every engaged enemy attacks, the Ravenous Ghoul is going to attack. The damage that it deals is right here next to the set icon symbol. So this is going to do 1 physical and 1 mental damage. We do not have anywhere to place that or soak it, so we're just going to take 1 and 1. If an investigator ever reaches 0, either health or sanity, they are immediately defeated. Then for the rest of the campaign, whichever one that they take, if they take 1 sanity or 1, or if they run out of sanity or if they run out of health, they will start with a trauma, meaning that they're going to basically start every scenario from here on out with that stat being damaged. So if you reduce sanity to 0, every single subsequent game, Roland will start with 4 health, not 5. Not good. Okay. It is our upkeep phase, so we're going to ready everything. Everything's ready. We are going to flip our cards, which I forgot yet again. We're going to get a resource, and Daisy is going to draw into an Arcane Initiate. Roland is going to get a resource and draw into, cover up. Revelation, put cover up into play in your threat area with 3 clues on it. When you would discover one or more clues at your location, discard that many clues from cover up instead. When the game ends, if there are any more clues on cover up, you suffer 1 mental trauma. So we have to get rid of cover up. So that's not good. We do need 6 clues total. We have 3. Oh my goodness. Roland is not feeling super great. Okay. Top of the round. Let's start with the Mythos phase. We're going to add 1 Doom to the current agenda. Check to see if we progress. We do not. Daisy. We got a Swarm of Rats. Swarm of Rats is a hunter. It's got a 1/1/1 stat line. Or 1/1/3 stat line. Then Roland is going to get Obscuring Fog. Attached to your location. Attached location gets +2 Shroud. After the attached location is successfully investigated, discard Obscuring Fog. Investigated is a action. So like using this reaction to discover a clue, that would not get rid of Discovering Fog. You actually do have to successfully investigate. Okay, Roland, let's... What are we doing over here, Roland? I don't think I actually ever drew a card for Roland, did I? Oh, it was the cover-up. I was like, I don't have any more cards. It was cover-up. Okay. I think Daisy has a fairly straightforward turn. I think we're just going to be investigating and going for it. Then Daisy can come over here and work with the seller if we want to. So let's... Oh, well, we have the Swarm of Rats here. So Daisy does need to step on these rats. Or try and run away from the rats. It only has a 1. Ooh, that's interesting. Let's try Daisy. Let's try Daisy hitting these rats with maybe her flashlight. That's purely thematic and not mechanical in any way. So we're looking at a value of 1. We have 2. We only need to deal 1 damage. Come on, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies. It's a 0, so it is enough damage to take out the rats. There's my first action. Second action, we're just going to investigate. We have a 5, 6, 7 to a 1. We're going to go ahead and -1. We get a clue. And since we successfully investigated, we get a money from Dr. Christopher. We have so much money over here with Daisy. Last action, we're going to go ahead and investigate 1 more time. 7 to a... Ooh, a star. +0. And we get to draw cards for each tome we have. We do not have any tomes, very sadly. But we do get another clue. Perfect. And we successfully investigated. More money for us. Boom. Roland Banks. Roland Banks. Okay. We have a dodge. Okay, let's attack. Let's just attack. We've got a 5, and we're looking for 3. I think we need to get rid of this Ravenous Ghoul at some points, and our best option is to fight it. We got 5 to 3. Oh, it's a skull. What does the skull do? -X, where X is the number of ghoul locations at our ghoul enemies at our location, which is 1. So this is a -1. So we do succeed, meaning that we deal 1 damage to this Ravenous Ghoul. That's our first action. I think we're going to have a pretty boring turn with Roland. We're just going to keep going. 5 to 3. -1. That's a second damage. We have 1 health left on the Ravenous Ghoul. Let's go ahead and see if we can get it. Oh, it's a star. +1 for each clue on your location. So that's +2. That's enough to take out the ghoul. Does not have a victory keyword. But since we do defeat it, we can discover a clue. However, we're covering up. So whenever you would discover 1 or more clues at your location, discard that many clues from cover up instead. I think Daisy is going to be able to get these clues pretty easily. Actually, I don't even know if pretty easily with this Obscuring Fog. But I want to get rid of this cover up because trauma, not good. Turns out trauma's not good. Okay, enemy phase. Hunters are going to hunt. Engage enemies are going to attack. Let's go into our upkeep phase. We're going to reset our actions. Flipping. I'm going to remember one of these times. I'm going to remember to flip these cards over 1 time. I promise. Actually, I don't know if that's a promise I can keep. Each investigator draws a card and gets a resource. Daisy is going to get a medical text. Choose an investigator at your location. Test book 2. If you succeed, heal 1 damage from that investigator. If you fail, deal 1 damage. What a funny concept. But that is a tome, which plays into what Daisy's trying to do. Then Roland is going to get a working a hunch. Fast, play only during your turn. Discover 1 clue at your location. Not an investigate, but a way to get clues, which is pretty nice. So Daisy, now that we have a tome, we can bring this up. Daisy's ability says that you can take an additional action during your turn, in which can only be used on a tome ability. So this medical text that has this little action symbol here on the text, that's a tome ability. That's what that is referring to. So we could do this effectively for free once per round. However, this does take up a hand slot. We already have 2 hand slots, so maybe we want to hold off on playing this. We're going to have Daisy go first. Because I think Roland is going to take a stab at trying to investigate this cellar. And Daisy has has a perception which we can commit to Roland's test only if we're at the same location. So Daisy going first, we're going to try and investigate and then move over to the cellar to hang out with Roland. So, no, we skipped the Mythos phase. Don't let me do that. We're going to add a Doom here. Everything could change. Daisy is going to get Crypt Chill. So test Brain 4. If you fail, choose and discard 1 asset you control. So Brain 4, sitting at 3. We could commit like Arcane Studies or Arcane Initiate. Honestly, Arcane Studies, we probably want to put on the table just because of how much resource generation we have, and this is going to give us a ton of benefit to the stats. I am kind of okay discarding the flashlight. So let's go ahead and test 3 to 4. We got a -3. If we committed anything, it probably would not have mattered anyways. So we're going to get rid of the flashlight. Roland. Rotting Remains. Test Brain 3. For each point you fail by, take 1 horror. That could be pretty bad, actually. We have a Brain 3. Oof. Let's go ahead and commit Old Book of Lore to make it 4. We're going to keep Dodge. So we're going to test 4 to 3. Come on, no whammies. It is a -4. So we take 3 sanity damage. This is how quickly this game can turn. Ooh, and we don't have any way to heal any of that sanity. Yikes. Yeah, that's not great. That's not great at all. Alrighty, Daisy. Let's go ahead and grab that last clue. So we're sitting at a 7 to a 1. -1. Kind of wish I drew that last. So we get this, which means that we get this victory. Now, this does not go into the victory location, but at the end of the game, we'll count up victory points for everything that is in the victory, which is off screen, which I'm pointing to and you cannot see, plus every location that has victory points without any clues on it. And since we successfully investigated, we get a Dr. Christopher pull. Then we're going to spend our second action to move to the hallway, our third action to move to the cellar. I remembered. Turn that face down. It is Roland's turn. Honestly, I'm a little scared about what's going on with Roland. Let's go ahead and spend 1 to play Magnifying Glass. That's a fast action, but it does give us +1 book while investigating. Okay. We are at a 6 Shroud. We're 4 book. We can go to 4 flashlight. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's use a flashlight. So our current Shroud is 6. -2, 4. We have 4. And let's go ahead and have Daisy commit a perception to the test. Now, this is max 1 committed per skill test, meaning that Roland could not commit a perception. Daisy can only, or another character can only ever commit 1 card to a teammate's skill test if they're in the same location. So 2. So we're at 6 to 4. We got, oh, the auto fail. So this is the token that everybody dreads to see. No matter what, we fail. We fail. So we don't get to draw a card. We don't get a clue. We have to pout a little bit. That's how the auto fail token works. Okay. That was one action. Let's go ahead and spend 2 to play Working a Hunch. So this is a event card, Working a Hunch. We're going to discover a clue at our location. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out if I want to take it off the cover up or just take it from the cellar. If we take it from the cellar, right now we actually do have enough to progress. So we could just leave the cellar alone if we wanted to. I don't think I put 2 and 2 together, but we only need 6. But I kind of want the victory point. The victory point seems pretty nice. Let's grab this clue. Let's grab this clue. That's going to bring us up to 3 here. And maybe we can grab an enemy or something that we can kill to get that last clue. And we don't even have to worry about the obscuring fog. We have 1 more action left because we failed to investigate. We played Working a Hunch. We could just try it. What's the worst that could happen? We go 4 to 4. We try it. If you fail, take 1 horror. That's the worst thing that could happen. Let's not do that. Let's grab the resource. So knowing what the symbols do in the bag is really important strategically going forward. Knowing that I don't want to just test clues or do test willy-nilly, because if I draw a cultist symbol and I fail, I take a horror. Roland goes insane. Well, he doesn't go insane, but he takes some mental trauma. He's out of the game. Ooh, enemies. Oh, wait. Roland goes here. Enemies are going to do their thing. We're going to flip up. We are going to unexhaust any card that is exhausted. We're going to get money and draw a card. Daisy is going to get a Mind Over Matter. Roland is going to get a 45 automatic. Okay, that's nice. 45 is spend 1 ammo, fight. You get +1 fight, and it deals +1 damage. So that would be really nice to get onto the table to scare off any enemies that may want to come attack us. Top of the round. We're not going to skip Mythos this turn. If you got 1 here. Daisy's card is a ghoul minion. So 2/2/2. Roland's card, Rotting Remains. Test Brain 3 for each point you fail. Take 1 horror. This could be Roland's. Not great. Honestly, not good. Ooh. Okay, so we are at 3. We're testing 3. We are going to commit a dodge. So that's 4. Then Daisy is going to commit a Arcane Initiate. And that's going to be 5 to 3. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies. 0. Oh! Yep, my heart rate's up. Okay. So we don't take any horror. Thank goodness. We got this ghoul minion over here. I think the ghoul minion being engaged with Roland is a scary idea. I think Roland can attack the ghoul minion engaged with Daisy, except if he misses or if he does not succeed, we deal damage to Daisy instead. I'm on the safer side. My strategic way of playing is on the safer side of playing Arkham. And so I usually don't like taking that risk. So you can use an action to engage. So engage an enemy at your location. So you can take it and then attack. If we're going to do that, I think I want the 45 automatic on the table, because the 45 can take out the ghoul minion in 1 go. So with all that being said, let's do... Oh, no. Roland, come on. What are you doing? We're going to go ahead and grab a resource. That's my first action. That means I can play the 45 next turn. I think we're gonna let the ghoul minion kind of beat up on Daisy a little bit. We actually may try and evade the ghoul minion. Yeah, we're gonna try and evade the ghoul minion, which probably means I should have had Daisy go first, but we've already started taking Roland's turn, so we cannot take Daisy's turn. I'm going to move to the hallway. I'm gonna leave Daisy. Daisy's scared expression right there is more of a look of betrayal. Why Roland just left her with his ghoul minion. And our last action. We may take a risk here. The risk being I have one of my weaknesses here. We're going to draw a card, knowing that there's 2 weaknesses in this deck, and if we draw the second weakness, we're sad, but there's a lower likelihood because we've already drawn 1. We got a Dr. Christopher as well. Now, Dr. Christopher is unique, so be careful about that. Which, Dr. Christopher may not be around much longer, depending on this ghoul minion. Okay. We're going to try an evade action. So we have a feat 2. Our target value is 2. We're going to play a manual dexterity to go +1. So we are at 4-2. I'm going to try an evade action on this ghoul minion here. We've got a -2, so we do succeed. So what that does is that puts the ghoul minion here and exhaust it, which is... I did not realize that when I first started playing, because now this ghoul minion is exhausted for the enemy phase. It does not ready until the upkeep phase, meaning that you skip a enemy phase if you do that with that enemy, and it's so nice. Manual dexterity does draw us a card, which is shriveling. Ooh, we got fight over here now. We have 2 actions left. One of the actions I want to be moving into this hallway. We could go 6-6 to try and get this cellar. I think we're going to do it. I mean, like, I don't see any reason not to. I kind of wish I had played Arcane Studies earlier. But we're just going to go 6-6 to try and get this last clue here. Mainly because it's a victory point. So 6-6. -2. We don't succeed. That's fine. We're going to spend our third action to hop over here. Okay. Enemies. There are no unexhausted enemies. So doesn't hunt, doesn't attack. We're good. Okay. Now we are going to flip our cards. We are going to ready every exhausted card. So this ghoul minion is now here at the cellar. He does not have the hunter, or I guess it does not have the hunter keyword. So therefore it will not follow us through. So the only reason that this thing would attack us is if a card tells it to, or if we want to go grab that last clue from the cellar, which honestly, thematically, I'm not going for it. Okay, we're going to get a resource and draw a card. We got a barricade. Attached to your location, non-elite enemies cannot move into the attached location. When investigator leaves, we can discard a barricade. So that's going to be, maybe we will barricade the parlor. Who knows what's over there. Roland's also going to get a card. Paranoia. Discard all your resources. No! So that is one of the reasons why I should not have drawn that card. I guess I wouldn't have known that. But drawing the card means that I'm drawing it this turn, which means that I'm not going to be able to drop my pistol. Oops. Alrighty, let's go 1 here. We're at 4 out of 7. Daisy's card is Ancient Evils. We're going to place 1, and it could cause it to advance. But it doesn't. Come on, Roland. No whammies. Swarm of Rats. Cool. That's actually really great, because we can take out the Swarm of Rats, which means that we can cover up here. That's actually... okay, so after you defeat an enemy, discover 1 clue at your location. When you would discover 1 clue at your location, discard that many clues. I don't actually know if you can, if there's no clues on the location. I will put that in the video. So me, current Nelson, does not know, but future Nelson will find the answer and drop it here. And you'll probably see it somewhere like right here. Cool. Just to not slow down gameplay, we do have what's called the Grim Rules. So The Grim rule means that if there is a conflict in the rules, in order to speed up gameplay, if you don't have the time or whatever to look it up, you take the worst outcome, in which case we cannot trigger this action. That would be the worst outcome. Okay. Cool. Oh, at the end of the round, we should have spent the clues. That's on me. I'm going to go ahead and do that just because, oops. We're going to spend the clues to advance here. So this is rewinding a little bit, and I apologize, but here we are. The barrier blocking the passage into the parlor has vanished. Reveal the parlor. Put the set-aside Lita into pay, and spawn the set-aside Ghost Priest in the hallway. So the parlor, we're going to take and put Lita, what do we say, Lita into play in the parlor, and the Ghost Priest here in the hallway. Ghost Priest, pray highest fight, so that's going to choose Roland here. Poor Roland. Now, this has retaliate. So this is what we were talking about, retaliate here. If we do not succeed, he will immediately make an attack against us. Ooh, that's mean. If the Ghoul Priest is defeated, we can advance. We also revealed the parlor. Parlor has 0 clues on it. Shrouded 2. We have an action here to resign. This is too much for me. You run out the front door, fleeing in panic. While Lita Chandler is not controlled by a player, she gains action parlay. If you succeed, take control of Lita. Lita is a ally, so we would have to discard Dr. Christopher, or we could take it for Roland. While you control Lita, each investigator at your location gets +1 fight. When a investigator at your location successfully attacks a monster enemy, that investigator deals +1 damage. She's at the parlor. I think we are in a little bit of trouble here. I don't know how to get Roland out of this situation. I think Roland's gonna get hit really hard by this Ghoul Priest. We may just say sayonara Roland. The Ghoul Priest has 10 health. 5 health per investigator there. And it's a 4/4. Okay. So that's exciting. We do have shriveling. Okay. Hear me out on this. We have an action here where we could play Shriveling and use Shriveling to fight the Ghoul Priest. We have a little bit more of a headroom for health and sanity damage on Daisy. So if we take the Ghoul Priest and engage the Ghoul Priest would attack Daisy, meaning that we have more time than what Roland has. If we do that, I was thinking about having Daisy come over here and grabbing Lita. So if we move, parlay, move back, we don't have any actions to engage the Ghoul Priest, Roland dies. So instead, can Roland get Lita? That's the question for everyone, right? Can Roland get Lita? There's a chance that he can. We're at 3, we can go up to 4. It is a parlay of 4, which is so very high. I would much rather have Daisy do it, but I don't know if we can. So let's do this. Let's go 3 to play Shriveling. Shriveling comes in with 4 charges. We can spend a charge. We can fight. The attack uses brain instead of fist. So +1, go team, and deals +1 damage. We're going to spend 2 to play the Arcane Studies. The Arcane Studies says that we can spend resources to get plus brain. And that's our second action. Our third action is going to be to engage the Ghoul Priest. Ooh. Probably going to toss Dr. Christopher in front of some of this damage. Yep. Roland, we got a swarm of ants over here. It would also be nice to drop the 45 automatic, but stupid paranoia got rid of all of our resources. Boo. Boo. Okay, Roland, let's go ahead and try and stomp on some of these rats. So we have 4. 4 to 1. Auto fail. Uh-oh. Try it again. 4 to 1. 0. Okay, that's enough for the rats. Then our last action, we're going to hop over here to the parlor. We also have the option to resign at this location. So if we're here, we can resign. Roland may take that opportunity. I think, depending on how the Mythos phase and how everything ends up, I would seriously consider doing that if I was playing a full campaign. But since this is like a tutorial game, we may just stick around and see what happens. I don't know. I don't know. It could be kind of fun. Okay, that's my 3 actions here. So, enemies. Hunters are going to hunt. There are no hunters. We got a ghoul minion over here that's not doing anything. Now we're going to get attacked. Now we're going to take 2 damage and 2 sanity. We're going to throw 2 sanity and 1 of the damage here, meaning that 1 damage is here on Daisy. Oops, sorry about that. Okay. Yikes. We'll stand up everything. We will get a money and draw a card. Daisy is going to get a emergency cash. Roland is going to get a research librarian. After a research librarian enters play, search your deck for a tome asset and add it to your hand. And a money. Okay. Let's add a Doom. We're 6 out of 7. Daisy, Ancient Evils. Look at that. I hate this card so much. So we place 1 and it causes the agenda to advance. Shuffle the encounter deck, discard pile into the encounter deck. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a ghoul enemy is discarded. The lead investigator draws that enemy. I think Daisy just went from maybe, being the hero to potentially dying. I do think that this first scenario gives a really good... The first campaign, the Night of Zealot campaign, the mini 3 scenario campaign, does a really good job of showing the game and like kind of all the interactions that you can have there. Okay, we're going to discard until we get a ghoul minion. Ravenous Ghoul, just like that. Okay, this is a 3/3/3. Uh-oh. Then, forced at the end of the enemy phase, each unengaged ghoul enemy moves 1 location towards the parlor. Dun, dun, dun. At the end of each round, place 1 doom on this agenda for each ghoul enemy in the hallway or parlor. And it goes out at 10. Roland is going to draw a Dissonant Voices. You cannot play assets or events. At the end of the round, discard Voices. Okay, so we're going to play out the game. We're going to play it out just because that's going to be fun. However, strategically speaking, what I would do in the situation if I was playing through this campaign, I would resign. Roland would resign here. And then Daisy would move, take attacks of opportunity from both of these, which deals 3 and 3. We would not lose, and then we would resign. Resigning does not provoke an attack of opportunity. It's one of those special ones. So that's how I would play the game. So I would avoid trauma. The more fun thing and the way that we're gonna just continue on is we're gonna go for it, right? Let's try it. So what's the worst that could happen? Okay. We're gonna have Roland go first. Because we're gonna try and get Lita and then move over into the hallway with Lita. We are so in trouble. We are so in trouble. Okay. Roland first. We have a 3 testing 4. This is only while we're investigating. Let's go ahead and commit Dr. Christopher. So we're 4 to 4. We are really rolling some dice here. Okay, hold on. Before I draw that, No, that's wild. I was gonna say the wild idea is to have Daisy move, take the attack of opportunity, and parlay. Not worth it. Okay, come on, come on. A zero, a zero, a zero. Oh, it's a -1. No. Okay. Um, I don't actually know what we're gonna do. um, oh my goodness. I think Lita. We need Lita to take this ghoul out. Also, I will say that resigning a scenario is not a failure. A lot of scenarios in Arkham Horror, you are expected to resign. It's kind of like how far can you get? Can you push it? Can you So resigning is not a loss condition. It is, well, there's going to be flavor text and everything that determines if you resign, if you defeat, if you go insane. There's going to be things that tell you how to play the game based on your outcome. Resigning is not a bad thing, but I want to show more of the game. Okay, Roland has 2 actions left. I, that's actually a wild test, knowing that we could have just died. Okay, I think if there's any way we win, we're dropping this 45 automatic. So we'll spend 2 actions to take that. Daisy Walker. Okay. Daisy Walker. I think we want to probably take out the Ravenous Ghoul if we can. So let's use Shriveling. So we are going to attack using Shriveling. So we use Brain instead of Fist, and it deals +1 damage. We have a 3, and our target value is 3. I'm going to go ahead and commit a Barricade for 4. Okay, come on. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies. -3. Bummer. Let's go ahead and attack one more time, or a second action. And this time we're going to spend 2 resources to pump up our brain by 2. So these are quick actions. Quick actions do not provoke attacks of opportunity. So right now we are at a 5 to a 3. I probably should have just spent 1 action or 1 resource over there in the last one. We got a -1. So that's going to deal 2 damage here to the Ravenous Ghoul. I think we're going to spend our last... No, we're going to spend 1 resource here to play Mind Over Matter. This is a fast card, so does not provoke attacks of opportunity, does not use our last action. It says, until the end of the round, you can use our book in place of our fist or feet. We have 5. We only need to deal 1 damage, so we're going to attack using our book because Mind Over Matter. Okay, come on, come on. -2, 5 to 3. That's good. We're going to take out the Ravenous Ghoul. Again, I would have resigned. Okay. That's going to be the end of the turn. So this is at the end of the enemy phase. So let's do everything that is not at the end of the enemy phase, which is the Ghoul Priest attacking. So we're going to take 2 and 2. Then, at the end of the enemy phase, each unengaged Ghoul minion moves 1 location towards the parlor. So now Daisy is also engaged with this Ghoul here. At the end of the round. So we'll come back to that at the end of the round. But we'll go ahead and unexhaust everything. Flip our cards, which I will not remember to do. Get a money here for Daisy. Draw into a research librarian. Get a money over here for Roland. Draw into a Mind Over Matter. The end of the round, we're going to discard Dissonant Voices. And we are going to one doom for each ghoul in the hallway or parlor. So that's 1, 2. So 2 doom here. Top of the round, we'll add a Doom. Daisy is going to get Grasping Hands. Test feat 3. For each point you fail by, take 1 damage. We have 2. We're going to commit Research Librarian. So we're 3-3. -4. We take... Daisy is knocked out. Daisy is out. Kablamo. She is done. So all of our enemies here would go unengaged into the hallway. Then Roland's test feat 3. For each point you fail, take a damage. Same thing. Roland has a lot more damage though. Let's go ahead and go Mind Over Matter and a Research Librarian. So we're going 4-3. -1, so we don't take any damage. Into Investigator Phase. At this point, we will go ahead and resign. Yeah, we will go ahead and resign. I like to play through these blind, so I know there may be strategic ways to set up better effects in the future. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let you figure that out. So I'm going to resign, in which case we would go back to our scenario, our campaign log, and we would read here, if no resolution was reached, each investigator resigned or defeated. So we read the flavor text, we record stuff in our campaign log, which I'm not going to read. The lead investigator does something, but all of this is self-explanatory. I'm just trying to avoid spoilers just in case you have not played through it yet. Then I want you to experience it. But the one that I did want to walk through is that each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display. Each investigator earns 2 bonus experience as he or she gains insight into the hidden world of the Mythos. So we're going to count this up. Our victory display up here off camera, we have 1 here. And we have a location here with no clues on it that's worth a victory point. So that'd be 2 victory points. If we got this, it would be a 3. If we destroyed the ghoul priest, it would be an extra 2. But so we get 2 plus 2 bonus. We have 4 experience to go and upgrade our decks using those higher level cards. So yeah, it's a tough game. It's meant to be tough. The thematics of this game is for you to feel like you are not succeeding. You are taking on ancient evil ones. So resigning is not the end of the world. Resigning is actually not, probably a lot of times, the best thing you can do. It's a very good, it's a very well story game. So if you have any questions about Arkham Horror, any of the rules questions, please ask them in the comments. Join the Discord. We have channels and everything dedicated to helping players with this game. Also, if you're curious about what to buy next, there is an Arkham Horror buying guide that I just put out on the channel, which you can check. It's going to be linked right up here in the corner, also down below in the description. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope that this video was beneficial to you. If it was, let me know. If it wasn't, honestly, let me know. I would also really like to know that information if that is the case. But I appreciate y'all. I hope you have a fantastic time playing Arkham Horror. And until next time, I'll see you around. Peace.